2:15 a.m. First on the scene, and by the look of things, I already knew what to expect. No movement, it was horrific, so I approached with regret while praying for the best. And unfortunately, it was tragic. My stomach turned as fatality was confirmed. Unbearable with a witness firsthand. I knew this was a part of my job, but this one was hard. You see, because I didn't pay close attention to the car, nor to the license plate, because if I did, I would have realized that the car belonged to my roommate. So I froze, in a state of shock and disbelief, all the while trying to hide my grief. Just breathe, I said. You can handle this. And then grabbed my pen and pad to record the evidence. High impact crash caused this man, Vince, to be thrown into the windshield. Massive amounts of splattered blood and brains proved that he was instantly killed. Body limp, contorted, lifeless in the trench by mile marker 39 on Highway 64. Vehicle license plate number 2UP2DWN, year make and model 2006 Ford Contour. This was more than I had bargained for. And besides all that, I just kept visualizing how his fiancée, Tanya, was going to react. She loved Vince more than life and was more than willing and ready to be his wife. I approached the second vehicle, expecting to see the same results, when a young man looked at me and cried out, "It was all my fault." About 5'4", 180 pounds, this young man had a nasty bleeding bruise on his forehead, but seemingly he didn't care. He was scared, frantically repeating the phrase, he's dead. He's dead. Eyes bloodshot red. I smelled liquor on his breath, plus saw 3 empty 22-ounce steel reserve cans in his vehicle, and at that point, I was ready to take the law into my own hands, but the sound of the ambulance was his miracle. So I flagged him on the scene, finished my report, then radioed in to give my captain the briefing. Told him this was a case of drinking and driving and how the victim was a close friend. And then told him to send the chaplain to this address in the west end of Richmond. It was where Tanya lived. And by now, it was 3:24. Tears escaped my eyes as I approached the door.
All rise. Case number 19852, the state versus Lee Jones III. Judge Willie T. Lohman presiding.
You all may be seated. This court will now come to order to give sentence in this case of vehicular manslaughter. But before this court imposes sentence, we will hear any final words from the victim's family and the defendant. Ms. Johnson, is there anything that you wish to say to this court? You may take the stand.
Yeah, I had something to say. It was Friday night. Vince was on his way home from work. Called to see if I was feeling better, if my stomach still hurt. Tried to hide my excitement. Wanted it to be a surprise to him, but the pregnancy test I took that afternoon, it came back positive.
Ms. Johnson, is there anything that you wish to say?
Yeah. How about stop? Rewind. Go back and make it different. We were just starting our lives together, cut short by one man's drunken indifference. For what? So you could go out, have a couple drinks, just have a little fun? Is that what you suggest I tell my unborn son? When he gets a little older, starts to talk and ask, "Mommy, what happened to my dad? Or, Mommy, can you teach me how to walk like a man? Or, Mommy, where'd I get my smile and big hands? And all I have to offer him is memories and faded pictures. Relying on some part-time stand-in father figure. It wasn't supposed to be this way. I wasn't supposed to do this alone. Just go back and make it different. Just go back and bring Vincent home. Yana, what exactly do you want me to say? How do I sum up a whole life in one sentence? Any words that's gonna make it change? Anything I can do to make it different? What exactly do you expect me to do? Stand here and offer this man my forgiveness? No. You took away the only man I'ma ever love. And I guess that's just something we'll both have to live with.
We thank you for your words, Ms. Johnson. You may return to your seat. Mr. Jones, you have the right to address this court before it imposes sentence. Do you wish to do so, or do you want to carry on with this?
Yes, Your Honor, my client would like to address the court.
Then you may take the stand.
The objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. That's the statement that keeps running through my mind. And though I've rewound and played the story back 1,000 times, there's some segments that's missing from my brain I can't find. Like, how'd it happen?
It was one of those days. I felt it in the air. The breath of death crossed my path a couple of times this day, and I always wondered if I know when my last days were near that I saw him. No car coming, just an angel in my rear view, holding an hourglass that all of the sand seemed to have seeped through in a flash of light. Sudden shock, brain trauma, heart stopped, lungs collapsed, and my eyes closed to the trauma.
I remember what happened vividly. Every time my eyes close, I'm reminded of the horror. Except in my dreams, I'm the victim of manslaughter. I guess the guilt of being the assailant is torture. Like, really? What harm was in a few drinks?
It's funny it had to end like this, especially when I lived right. I may have a few flaws, like my girl's pregnant and she's not my wife. I didn't have my reports in on time all the time at work. I may have even been wrong watching other girls in those short skirts. I'm not perfect. Although I've made some mistakes. I'll admit to leaving the bar occasionally and driving home after just a few drinks, but I was a good man.
Nothing worthy of a vicious life sentence in prison. And car accident acknowledges it wasn't on purpose. So why am I treated like one of hell's unforgiven? Why am I and a heartless murderer no different? I didn't aim a gun at anyone unpeaceful. And if alcohol-related deaths occur twice an hour, then shouldn't our government be held liable for profiting off our ignorance like cowards?
Lord, if you let me live through this, I'll promise to do right. I won't commit to anything when I can't follow through. I'll forgive when someone does me wrong, continuously causes me harm, and doesn't even have a clue. I'll obey all the laws of the land. I'm sure they exist for a reason. Just let me exist to see another day, if only for my family. I am pleading.
I know what you're thinking. That I'm in denial. Like I don't deserve to be on trial when I should. Like I didn't just take Vince from his family.
Family is everything to me, if only God could see.
But if I could bring him back, then of course I would.
So my child will never know his father? Bring me back if you could.
But I can't. Bring him back to his unborn child. who's been made a bastard even before his birth.
And I promise that I'll stay by my lady and protect her even when danger lurks.
And there's nothing I can say to console his lover. If I could, I'd switch places to dispel her hurt. But I can't.
Turn around God's judgment. If it was destined for me to die, there's clearly nothing I could do. And the person that caused this accident may be joining me too. If not in death, then maybe his consequences are a little more severe. And even if I forgive him for his deeds now, his future may still be unclear.
So that brings us back here. To this angry jury out to give 25 years to a good college kid up against all odds. See, my father's doing 25 for a murder charge, and my brother and cousins is all jailbirds. I'm the first success story in a long line of failures. I can't believe I let my family down. I threw away everything I worked hard for being careless. Your Honor, I'm not trying to plead my innocence, but in a sense, how can you sum up my life in one sentence?
God, I'm not trying to prove my innocence, but in a sense, how could you sum up my whole life in your sentence?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. You may return to your seat. Will the defendant please rise? Mr. Jones, on the charge of vehicular manslaughter, you have been found guilty. Yet it's a shame that you whine as if you expect me to take pity. For every moment in this country, if you count them by two, someone is being injured by a drunk driver like you. And every 31 minutes is a sad reality. The victim status increases from injury to fatality, and you have the audacity to say that it was just a few drinks. But your negligent behavior affects more than just a few lives. In 2005, 16,585 people died in alcohol-related motor vehicle crashes. That's 39% of all deaths related to traffic, a fatality rate that's far more than tragic. While the legal drinking age is 21, as you know, alcohol-related deaths affect young people as low as ages 18 to 24. It's the drug of choice, most commonly used. In this country, young people drink almost 20% of all alcohol consumed and then make poor choices just like you. You see, when you combine the physical effects of alcohol with inexperience and immaturity, then the effects weigh heavily on our neighborhood safety. From alcohol-related crashes, noise, public intoxication, vandalism, we have drug use, and then public urination, and on this occasion, we have another life lost, which your just a few drinks doesn't compare to the cost. So for me to allow a driver like you to wreak havoc is an injustice that this court will not allow to happen. High-risk drinking and impaired driving are serious problems that often offer no second chances to the victims involved. So, this court thinks that a stiff sentence is only fair. For the Johnsons' family loss has caused immeasurable strife. Therefore, this court sentences you to life.
Life. Life.
Bailiff,
What about my life?
please take Mr. Johnson away.
What about my family? Some lawyer, man.